The movie starts with a ship stuck in a big storm. This is Alice's ship. She follows her father's dream and sails across big seas. But suddenly, some other ships attack her. The people on her ship tell Alice to surrender, but she refuses. She does not want to lose her father's ship, so she orders the crew to sail at full speed, even though she can see big rocks ahead. The ship is out of control because of the attack. Alice runs to the sails. She opens them herself and makes the ship go even faster. To stop the ship from crashing into the rocks, Alice cut the sails into 2 pieces. This changes the ship's direction. Because of her quick thinking, Alice saves the ship and everyone on board. The people cheer for Alice, and soon they reach London safely. Alice meets her mother. Then she hears Lord Ascot has died. His son, Hamish, was Alice's ex-fiancé, now owns the business. When Alice meets Hamish, she finds out that he is married. She also learns that, to get revenge, he has bought her shares of the company from her mother now. Hamish gives Alice a choice. If she wants her house back, she must give him her father's ship. Alice is very angry at her mother and storms out into the garden. There, she sees Butterfly. She follows it and, through a magic mirror, enters Wonderland. There Alice meets the White Rabbit, the Tweedles, the Dormouse, the March Hare, the Bloodhound, the Cheshire Cat, and the White Queen. They tell Alice that they called her to Wonderland to help the Hatter. The Hatter has gone mad because he saw a purple hat one day. This hat reminded him of the Jabberwocky's attack. That was the day Hatter lost his family. Everyone believes that only Alice can help him. Alice meets Hatter, and he is very happy to see her. He tells Alice that he believes his family is still alive and begs her to help him find them. He insists that only she can do this. When Alice tries to make him understand that it's not possible, Hatter becomes furious and asks her to leave. Alice, feeling worried about Hatter, runs back to the others. They tell her there is a way to help him. The White Queen explains that if Alice uses the Chronosphere to travel back in time and stop the Jabberwocky from attacking, she can save Hatter's family and fix everything. However, this is a very dangerous mission, but since Alice does not belong to this world, she is the only one who can do it. Alice decides to take the risk. The White Queen leads her to a giant clock. Alice must enter it and convince Time himself to change the past and save Hatter's family. Alice steps inside the clock and arrives at the Castle of Eternity. She struggles as she jumps from one giant clock hand to another until she finally enters the castle. There, she sees Time himself moving a living clock and placing it among the dead ones. The moment he does this, a man dies. Meanwhile, Time senses someone's presence in the castle. Alice steps forward and asks for permission to speak with him. When Alice explains her request, Time becomes furious. He refuses to give her the Chronosphere. He also tells her that the past cannot be changed, we can only learn from it. After saying this, he angrily throws Alice out of the castle. Just then, Alice notices the Red Queen approaching Time. Taking advantage of the distraction, Alice sneaks closer to the Chronosphere. She quickly grabs it, but as soon as she does, Time realizes what has happened and rushes toward her. Suddenly, seconds and minutes merge to form a monstrous creature. Alice stretches her hand, sits inside the Chronosphere, and escapes. Meanwhile, the Red Queen manipulates Time and convinces him to find the Chronosphere and bring it back to her. Alice soon realizes that the Chronosphere works like a ship, so she starts steering it confidently. Outside the Chronosphere, Time begins to weaken. He orders his servants to ensure that Time keeps running and then sets off to chase Alice. Alice arrives at Hornvendish Day, but just as she tries to enter, Time attacks her, causing her to lose sight of the exact moment she was aiming for. To escape, Alice dives under the massive tides, but when Time follows her, the waves crash down on him. By mistake, Alice ends up on the day of the Red Queen's coronation. There she meets a young Hatter and enters the castle with him, just as the Queen's crown ceremony is about to begin. Hatter opens the box containing the crown, and his father prepares to place it on the Red Queen's head. However, due to the Queen's unusually large head, the crown doesn't fit properly. Seeing this, Hatter laughs, which enrages the Red Queen. When his father tries to push the crown down, it breaks. The entire crowd bursts into laughter. Furious and humiliated, she loses her temper. Seeing this, the king decides to give the crown to the White Queen instead, believing the Red Queen is not fit to rule. After the event, Hatter's father scolds him, calling him an embarrassment to the family and telling him to leave. Heartbroken, young Hatter walks away. Alice tries to stop him, but he refuses to listen. She then approaches Hatter's parents and overhears a conversation. From this, she learns about a past incident that caused the Red Queen's head to become so large. Alice realizes that this incident is the key to everything, so she decides to go back to that moment and prevent it from happening. Alice travels to that day and meets young Hatter, who takes her to his father. Meanwhile, the young Red Queen and White Queen are with their mother. Their mother warns them to stop eating too many tarts and makes them leave the kitchen. However, the White Queen sneaks back in, steals the last tart, and goes to the Red Queen's room to eat it. Just then, the Red Queen and their mother enter the room. When the mother sees tart crumbs on the floor beside the Red Queen's bed, she becomes suspicious. The White Queen lies and says she did not take the tart. Their mother scolds the Red Queen instead. Feeling angry and betrayed, the Red Queen runs out of the castle. Meanwhile, Hatter proudly shows his father the first hat he has made. Instead of praising him, him. His father tries to fix the hat, but in doing so, he accidentally breaks it. Then, he carelessly throws it into the trash. This deeply hurts Hatter, making him believe that his father does not love him. After this, Alice runs after the Red Queen. She manages to stop her from hitting the clock, but the Red Queen still falls and hits her head on a pond. At that moment, Alice remembers Time's words. She cannot change the past, only learn from it. As she reflects on this, she notices a window in Hatter's house. Through it, she sees Hatter's father picking up the broken hat from the dustbin and putting it into his pocket. This makes Alice realize that, although Hatter's father is strict, he actually cares about his son and wants the best for him. Just then, Time arrives and begs Alice to return Chronosphere to him, but she is determined to save Hatter's family first. Instead of giving it back, she escapes through a mirror and returns to her world. When Alice wakes up, she finds herself in a mental hospital. Hamish has sent her there, thinking she has lost her mind after hearing her talk about the Chronosphere and the mirror. Alice, determined to escape, injects the doctor. Her mother also helps Alice escape. Alice jumps from the hospital roof and lands in a cart, which takes her back home. Once there, she grabs the Chronosphere and uses the mirror to return to Wonderland. She finally reaches Hornvendish Day and lands in the middle of Jabberwocky's attack. The Jabberwocky is setting everything on fire, causing people to run in fear. Alice spots Hatter's family and runs to save them, but before she can reach them, the Jabberwocky burns everything down. Alice thinks she is late and that Hatter's family has perished. However, she soon discovers the truth. Hatter's family was never killed. Instead, the Red Queen had ordered them to be taken hostage. To fool everyone, the Red Queen had staged their deaths while secretly having her guards hide them away. Realizing this, Alice rushes back to Hatter. She finds him lying in bed, weak and heartbroken. She tells him everything and promises to reunite him with his family. Hearing this, Hatter's spirit is restored and he quickly recovers. Meanwhile, at the Red Queen's castle, Time informs her that Alice is searching for Hatter's family. Upon hearing this, the Red Queen becomes furious and decides to take Time as her hostage. The Red Queen warns her guards that Alice is coming. Meanwhile, Alice, the White Queen, and their friends begin their journey to the Red Queen's castle. Upon arrival, they split up to search for Hatter's family. However, the Red Queen's soldiers capture everyone. Alice and Hatter manage to reach the Red Queen's room, where they find Hatter's family trapped inside a glass frame. Hatter picks up the frame, but before they can escape, the Red Queen arrives, snatches the Chronosphere from Alice, and takes them to where the others are being held. She then drags the White Queen with her back to the past, the day the White Queen falsely accused her of eating the tart. Fortunately, the Red Queen soldiers secretly let Alice go, as they do not like their queen. Time, who is still weak, tells Alice that only she can save Wonderland. If she does not return the Chronosphere to the clock, the entire world will be destroyed. The White Queen refuses to admit the truth, so the Red Queen angrily exposes her lie in front of their mother. However, bringing past and present versions of herself together causes the Red Queen to turn into a statue. Soon, all the past versions of the queens begin turning into statues as well, and Wonderland starts collapsing. Alice and Hatter arrive just in time and rushing toward the clock. The world around them is being destroyed, but they keep running. Alice reaches the clock at the last moment and desperately tries to return the Chronosphere. One by one, everyone turns into statues. Alice gets closer and closer, but just before she can put the Chronosphere back, she, too, turns into a statue. Wonderland is completely destroyed, and even the mirror turns black. It seems like everything has ended. Has Alice been trapped forever? Suddenly, the attraction force of the clock pulls the Chronosphere into its place. Time is restored, and Wonderland returns to normal. The White Queen apologizes to the Red Queen, and the Red Queen, in turn, frees Hatter's family. Alice thanks Time and bids farewell to her friends before returning to her world through the mirror. Back home, Alice is about to agree to give her father's ship to Hamish in exchange for her house. However, after seeing Hamish's arrogance, her mother steps in and refuses the deal. In the final scenes, Alice and her mother take her father's business to the next level. The movie ends here.